MarTechTalk, the live webinar with no presentations, no PowerPoint, just talk.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of MarTechTalk. I'm your host, Luke, and today we'll be joined by three wonderful panelists signing in from across the UK and the US. And you're more than welcome to get involved too, using the chat box to the side to ask questions and make any comments. But before I introduce our panelists, let's set the scene for what we're discussing. This week's topic is investing in and enabling your partner ecosystems. We're going to start by talking about engagement, so from discovery to ongoing engagement. And that involves partner lifecycle management to enable new revenue stream growth. From there, we're going to move on to discuss onboarding and sales training and how they can be used to empower your partner types. And finally, we'll think about scale. So automating your MarTech to co-market, drive demand, and sell together. So let's begin by welcoming our lovely guests this week. In no particular order, when I say your name, can you turn on your camera and mic, please? We've got Samantha, Head of Marketing and Security Strategy EMEA at cybersecurity leader Exabeam. Hi, Samantha.
Hi there.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we've got Steve, Digital Transformation Lead at financial services firm Finastra. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Luke.
Hiya. And Dave, CMO at Software Development Specialist in Partner.
Good afternoon, good morning.
Hi, Dave. So let's dive right into our news item for this week, shall we? We've got an article here which comes from Customer Think, entitled Why Brand Partnerships Should Be an Integral Part of Your Digital Strategy. This touches on partnership marketing and, in a consumer-focused way, what you can do to enable action. So from offering free gifts to creating incentivization platforms. It focuses on those rewards quite a bit here. So what are your thoughts on this article? Samantha, can I come to you first, please?
Absolutely. So whilst this is kind of more B2C, I always think there's crossovers. Ultimately, you know, I think we're all B2B on here. We're still ultimately marketing to people, be those partners, end users, customers. Everyone's a future customer unless they're already a customer. So I think there's some good lines you can draw from this for sure. For us at Exabeam, partnerships are a huge part of what we do. For those of you who are more technically minded, we are an analytics tool that basically requires log files to come into us to be able to actually do anything good with those log files, and then we can run all of our cool stuff on it. We have a lot of partnerships in place. So ensuring that we have good relationships with those partners goes, throughout our technology. It goes through our customer base. There's a lot of co-selling that we do, and ultimately telling a better together story. And then beyond that, we have a lot of channel partners as well that will go on and sell our products. So being able to tell stories together and enabling those teams is absolutely vital to the success of Exabeam.
Thanks, Samantha. Steve, how did you feel about this article?
I mean, it was great. I think it really reiterated the point around partnerships aren't always a one-way street. You know, if you're working with a partner, the partner as well should be there to be able to support that partnership as well. So it's great to be able to see that value of promoting another partnership, and that conversely piece of saying, hey, we're a proud partner of Finastra as well. I think it really set the scene around actually how you can use those partnerships to really target and tailor your audience to really provide the right product in the right areas and the right segments, and actually really know your audience of who you're marketing towards.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you. And Dave, can I pass on to you, and I'll highlight the kind of the rewards part of this article that really jumps out in it, because it'd be good to hear a bit of your take on that.
Yeah, the approach of incentivizing and rewarding partnerships, as Samantha said, whether it's B2C or B2B, I love the fact that this highlights the increasing importance of partnerships, affiliates, referral providers, reseller partners, solution providers. all of these people make up a huge ecosystem. And I think the importance of ecosystems has skyrocketed in today's business environment. And again, B2B, B2C, we all rely on a healthy and robust network of partners that help us enable effective go-to-market campaigns and strategies.
Great, thanks. Okay, and I mean that kind of leads us into talking about engagement, right? That's our first point. From discovery to ongoing, and how that then leads to revenue stream growth. So if I come back around to you, Samantha, can I let you start on that, please?
Absolutely. I think in the olden days, there was kind of this feeling that you would go see a partner and you turn up with your PowerPoint and you speak at them for a while and then they're enabled, and that's great. And they will obviously just take that and run forward into the world and help sell your products. And it's weird, it doesn't work particularly well, because a lot of our partners have many vendors that they work with. And they don't just want to hear, like, here is a product, it does this, here are some features, they do that. They want to understand the Better Together story. They want to understand the value they can bring. They want to understand the value that they provide with the other solutions that they have. And how does that all come together into one thing? Because ultimately, people don't just go out and buy point products anymore, I think. Certainly in my space, in cybersecurity, they have business problems they want to go and solve. Whether or not a feature is pink and has buttons or a slider, they're less worried about that, to be honest. They want to understand, like, what is this going to solve? How is this going to make my customer's life better? How will this make me more sticky with my customer? And that's the kind of partnerships that we want to work on. And that is not something you can do by turning up with a PowerPoint one day and buying someone lunch and walking off into the breeze thinking you've done a great job.
Certainly, and I mean, I mentioned during the rehearsal yesterday, you mentioned that there's, in cybersecurity, you've got a lot of vendors there.
Huge number of vendors. There's a horrible slide that we sometimes show that's got, I think there's something like 200-300 vendors on there. And if you're trying to wade through that and figure out, like, what do you need to solve your problems, and especially when you're picking through marketing messaging as well, and under the hood of that is how really are you going to help me solve my problems? And partners need to understand that in a way that makes sense to them based on their role, based on their customers, based on the people they're talking to at their customers. There's no one size fits all in this. You have to be way more considerate and more granular as to how you deliver information and how you receive feedback as well.
And I won't keep asking you questions because I'll pass on. But you mentioned this about log files, because that sounded interesting. And it sounds like you have quite specific kind of challenges there.
Yeah, I mean, it's ultimately, we are, I wouldn't say we're an empty box. We've got a lot of protection, detection capabilities, automation capabilities that we can provide. But we need to have log files coming in from lots of other products on the ecosystem to be able to make that work. So it's not just a case of give us all your logs and, I don't know, something will come out the end. When we're talking with, say a partner of ours, I'll pick one out of the sky, like Netscope, like they're a great partner of ours. When their log files come in, what do they need to be combined with to actually make something useful? Because they're showing their stuff in their own product. We can show combinations of things together and really help the people that are using our software. But that story has to be a story that our partners can tell, not just, I don't know, plug it in and it'll probably be fine.
Okay, thanks. And Steve, I know yesterday you were talking about sort of partner ecosystems and how you've been building them for years, and Finastra's kind of got that longer term look at things. It'd be good to hear your take on this.
No, absolutely. Very much similar vein to Samantha's point there as well, in terms of being able to provide the right content and making sure it's not just like, hey, it's a presentation, this is what we do, and you walk off into the sunset. Finastra's worked with partners for many years, and over the past 3 years, we've really ramped up our partner ecosystem. And we took a very different stance to what potentially has been done beforehand. And we really got under the hood and understood what our partners were looking for at each stage of their journey. So you've got those partners, like you mentioned, the discovery phase. And it's throughout that phase understanding, well, what's important to them there? What do they need to understand? What do they want to see? So rather than giving them the big spiel about, hey, this is what we do as a company, here's our products, and away we go, it's about understanding during that moment, what information do you need? How can we communicate that to you effectively? What pain points do you have, and where can we as a partnership help support you? Where do you as a partnership want to grow as well within your market space? So that, again, as always, it's not just like this one-way street. It's about making sure that we're growing our partnerships and we're growing that partner as well. So when it came to that terms of our engagement piece, we took a model of being able to put our partners almost through a journey, and each stage of those journeys being separated out. 6 stages of our journey from a partner, where we identify a partner, all the way through to their onboarding, all the way through to when they become a fully fledged partner, almost flying by themselves, being out there in the great wide world doing their work. At each stage of that journey is a tailored experience for that partner to give them the right information at the right time. I was trying to think of like an analogy while I was at the gym earlier, and I was thinking to myself, how would I best describe this? It's almost being able to give me an engine. Here's a manual, away you go. Right, okay, yes, I'm sure I'm going to be able to get there at the end of it, and I'm sure I'm going to be able to understand it. But actually, let me understand which part of the components I'm looking at and what each part of them does, and then how each one of them interacts with each other. Great, I've got this part moving. Brilliant, now I can move on to the next section. So for me, it's all about how do we provide the right engagement models with our people, with our digital channels, through to the partner at the right times.
Brilliant. It's that life cycle management, the kind of the start seems like a very important point then to kind of how much kind of you're going to be carrying them later on, I suppose, and how much they're going to be independently driving that engine you built.
Absolutely. I always think to myself, partnerships very much like our customer. We always think to ourselves like, okay, we work as a company, we work with customers. In our partner team, our partners are our customers. We want to make sure we're giving them the best experience possible, that they are getting the right involvement, they're getting the right information. And how do we always make sure that we're always staying in their ear as well? Just like Samantha said, we're working with partners that work with multiple different fintech providers out in the world. So how do we always stay relevant within them as well?
Brilliant. Thank you, Steve. Dave, can I pass on to you for this point?
Yes. Samantha and Steve both so eloquent on the subject. It is interesting. I've been in the channel space for such a long time. And I do sense that the goalposts have shifted a little bit. 10, 15 years ago, 5, 10 years ago, I think the metric that most people manage their channel program by was how many partners do we have in our program? And you'd travel out to meet with a new partner somewhere, and they'd say, yeah, that sounds good, we want to sign up. And you'd get back to the office and high five each other and say, yes, we got one more partner on board. And I think that mindset has shifted. I think the goalpost now is how many productive partners do we have in our program? And I would suggest that, kind of riffing a little bit on one of the things that Steve said, I would look at it from the partner's perspective momentarily. Your partners, when you're a vendor in Partner, Exabeam, Finastra, when you're a vendor, your partners have a different business model than you have. They literally operate on a knife edge of profitability. And when they choose to go with you, they're making, it's a very strategic decision for them. They're making a financial investment in you. We always say that partners like to work with the vendors who are the easiest to do business with. And that is true. But they also like to work with vendors that are going to help them, build a successful business and a healthy bottom line. And when they choose to go with you, the clock starts ticking, right? Valuable assets and resources in helping you build your business in whatever local geography they happen to be in. And the faster you can get them into revenue productivity, the better it is for them, and ultimately, obviously, the better it is for the vendor. And so, thinking about it from the way Steve talked about that, looking at this and saying, what do we need to do? If your partners are lingering in your program for months or quarters before they become revenue productive, I would point one finger at them and 5 fingers at you. Do you not know your business? Do you not know your customers? Do you not understand what you need to do to win customers? Because if you do, and you're failing to enable your partners to be effective at that, you're letting them down and you're costing them. So I think I look at vendors and I say, you better know your business. You better know your customers and your business model, and you better do everything you can to help enable your partners to be an effective, outreach for you, because the faster you can get them to revenue productivity, the better it is for everybody.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dave. I can feel the passion coming off you there. I feel I want to work with you. We've actually had a question. We've got a few questions that have come in. The first one here from Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. How do the panelists foster meaningful engagement within their brand partnerships to create authentic connections with customers and clients? I might just loop round everyone quickly again, if that's all right. So, Samantha, can I? Yeah, you're first, I'm afraid. Is that all right?
That's fine. Yeah. I'll jump in. I'm sure everyone's got different opinions on this. Ultimately, the technology absolutely comes into play, and I appreciate we're on MarTechTalk. There's lots of things we can do to deliver information in different formats, yada yada yada. For me, it's still a people thing, very much so. I think I've walked out of a trade show to come and be on this panel today, and we've got partners in that room who I know everybody across the board, from the people who are pre-sales through the people who are supporting it, in those partners, and that we have got that. I mean, it's a friendship. It boils down to feeling that way, is that you invest time with them as humans. So they are an extension of your team. You become like, it is ultimately, it sounds a bit hippie, but it is ultimately a family, and that we spend time with them to understand what they need. Back to what the guys were saying earlier, it's not one size fits all. And training is not enablement. Training is a part of enablement. Spending time with them, understanding their drivers, understanding how we can help them be successful, and then going to markets together in the first instance. And I think then there's a way that they then feel that they can carry that torch forward in a way that it feels like they're an extension of what we do.
Lovely. Thanks, Samantha. And thanks for bringing that after you've obviously had a busy day already. So appreciate that. Steve, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with Samantha on this. You cannot underestimate the value of human connection, especially, it's past few years, we seem to have obviously gone very, very much into this digital age. And obviously, I appreciate working in the MarTech field anyway. It's very important for us to, be able to communicate through digitally, but never lose sight of that human interaction. I know it's a topic that we'll cover off, but that kind of element of going, hey, well, I can automate an entire process of sending out comms, and it's going to be great. And, we can send out newsletters and webinars and elements like that, but then still making sure you foster that human one-to-one connection, or that face-to-face interaction is so incredibly important to continue driving that relationship.
Thanks, Steve. And then Dave, did you want to add something on there?
Yeah, look, so what I would say to Charlie is, such good responses already. I would look at it just a little bit sideways. Channel analysts, companies, Forrester, Canalys, and others, they indicate that there are as many as 20 plus touch points in the sales process before a client is ready to have a conversation with the vendor, and all of those touch points. Analyst firms indicate that your partner community are 2 to 3 times more credible to the customer than you are as a vendor. You come knock on my door, you bet I've got a product and I really want to sell it to you. If you're in the information gathering stage, they're much more comfortable doing that with your partner community. And so I would say they're almost predispositioned to build that authentic connection with the customer and client. Your challenge is to make sure that what they're saying to your potential customers and clients is an accurate representation of your brand and your value proposition, because your potential customers will turn to your partners before they turn to you, and they will put more credence in what your partner community says than they will in you.
Brilliant. Thank you. I'm going to move on to another question, actually. I know we've got our talking points to come back to, but we've got another one here from, I hope that answered your question, Charlie. Some great answers there, I presume it did. But Banjula has asked, what strategies can CMOs employ to measure and track the success of their brand partnerships? Sounds like it's quite specific here. Customer engagement metrics, click-through rates, etc. So, yeah, feel free to get techie on these answers. Samantha?
That's me again. I get the hard jobs. It's all good. I think obviously there's the obvious things like deal reg and the quality of deal reg, things like that. That you're seeing what they're actually bringing you, and is it actually any good? Is it qualified? How much have they done on their own? That is something we can look at. But as we're producing campaigns with our partners, as we're producing strategies with the partners, absolutely. I mean, there are still the traditional kind of marketing metrics. I think some definitely have more credence than others. It's funny. There's a lot of, you can draw parallels with cybersecurity. Counting beans tells you how many beans you've got. The quality or the type of those beans it can vary very, very, very much. So, I mean, ultimately, our partner success is our success. And if we can see that there is a line through, the enablement that we're doing, the work that the partners are doing, the marketing they're doing, the outreach they're doing, and what they're saying to their customers when ultimately they come to them, exactly like Dave was saying, they want to get advice from somebody who's, their trusted partner first before they'll go outside of that. Is that partner accurately talking about what we do? If we're getting deal writers that come through and they're like, oh, does this thing make the tea and it's purple, and we're like, well, actually no, it's an analytics tool and it's green, then something's gone badly wrong in that conversation. So I think measurements are good. Bean counting generally I find is bad. Like number of people that have completed a course that they might have all sat in the same room and clicked all the same answers together, that's not a display of enablement. That is people trying to get through a test to be able to potentially either get something or tick a box so they can move on. So yeah, it all comes down to quality for me.
Coming back to that sort of humanizing of it, isn't it there? Yeah, fascinating. Thank you. Steve, did you want to add something?
Sure, of course. And you know what? It's very similar. For us, you can go as far as you want to with trying to get as many metrics as you can, going down to the most smallest granular level of detail. And I think we ended up getting to a position where it's like, let's just understand what we feel is important to us so that we can get a view as to whether or not we feel a partner is engaging with us. But also conversely, is the energy and effort that we're putting into content, new tools, getting the traction that we need as well? Are we seeing those click-through rates? Are we seeing people accessing pages, opening up email newsletters around that kind of content? Are we seeing a message that's being delivered by our account managers to the team? Is that getting through? Are we seeing that kind of engagement following on from that? And I think those kind of metrics where you can start going, right, we spent 6 weeks on a piece of work that was from some really great content. It's a brand new tool. Yes, we're seeing that engagement come through for it. We sent out email campaigns. We asked our account managers to talk about it. We're seeing that engagement level. Then as well, it doesn't always go quite so well. Are we doing this piece of work and then actually we get the feedback, do you know what? That's nice. It's just not relevant for us. It's just not right for us. It's just not that important for us. And that's sometimes a really, it can be a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, but those are some of the metrics that you should be looking at in terms of going, well, actually, are we seeing that engagement? Are we seeing people naturally and organically coming back to the content that we're putting in there? We're making it easy for people to come and find on digital platforms. Are we seeing it there? We think it's important. Is it as important for the partner? Have the conversation with the partner. Again, back to this human element. Is this useful? Do you find that it's needed? Actually, maybe not, maybe so. So how do you manage that?
Great, yeah, testing the waters with these metrics to see if they're actually worth anything to either side. Yes, thank you. And Dave, can I pass to you for this question as well, please?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a CMO, and I know that MarTechTalk is not always about ecosystems. A lot of it is about actual go-to-market. And I would be crazy to try and run an effective marketing campaigns without the dashboards, without the analytics and the metrics. And kind of what I love doing is immersing myself in the data and sifting through it. And it doesn't ever really boil down to a single dashboard. It boils down to the process of discovery, investigation and discovery. And please forgive me in advance, but I am a platform vendor, and I think to try and do something like that without a platform that enables that that journey of discovery and investigation is the same thing as trying to run effective marketing campaigns in your company without a Marketo or, whatever you may use. And so I think you've got to have a platform to do it. In fact, I've asked the MarTech Fairy, I think she'll upload a couple of handouts for case studies that we have with customers who've done this very thing. But we think that, it's trying to, going back to Steve's engine analogy, it's like trying to drive a vehicle without a dashboard. If you don't have the analytics and the metrics to immerse yourself in, you're running blind in your partner programs.
Yeah. Just to add in on that, I think we've just done a talk about automation and cybersecurity at the show. We were talking about reporting, and I absolutely agree with you, Dave. I think you've got to have the data, and it can't just be looking at moments in time or individual bits of data on there and like, hey, graph does this, hooray. Well, those two things together, like correlating that stuff, is super powerful. And ultimately, if you're looking at a report, if it's not giving you the ability to make a decision, and it's not telling you something like that's changing your perception as to what's going on, then I would question the value of that report. But we have to start with that data. If you can't just, just stick your finger in there and go, well, okay, I think this sounds good. I like reading it. Let's send that. Amazing.
Sorry, Samantha. We just started a new campaign through a new channel. A marketing channel. And initially, we're very excited about this because top of funnel is really building out nicely from this new campaign that we're running. Now we're maybe a month into it, and we're noticing that none of that business is progressing through our funnel. And if we didn't have that data, I would continue to invest in that campaign. Looking at this, and as Samantha says, immersing yourself in that data and trying to figure out how that actually influences all the way through makes me now back up and say, yeah, actually, maybe that's not the right campaign. Maybe that's not the right partner. So you've really got to have the analytics for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to be driving a 500-mile journey and you don't have a fuel gauge, right? It's you're going to end up in trouble. Thanks everyone. Andula, I hope that helps. And the handouts that Dave mentioned, I can see have been put in the handout section there in the comments, so you can access them now if you'd like to. But we're going to move on to our next point: onboarding and sales training, and how they can be used to empower your partner types. And you guessed it, Samantha. Back to you.
I want Steve to go first at some point. It's super important. You've got people joining and leaving partners all the time as well. So this isn't like a one journey. Have I lost you or have you lost me? I'm on hotel Wi-Fi. Hang on.
Can still hear you.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
Okay, she wanted you to go next, Dave. I think it's happening. Steve.
Yeah,
we'll go around in the order. So, Steve, if that's okay.
Sure, no problem at all. No problem at all.
Gets back online.
No problem at all. So onboarding is a massive piece of any part of partner ecosystem. And, when you're trying to enable a partner in order for them to understand and effectively sell and your product, or to understand it from a technical perspective, all of those elements. And for us, again, while this isn't necessarily, brand new and, something that we came up with, we very much took that approach of taking that persona-led training. So really understanding those kind of key characteristics and those kind of key hats that people are wearing with a partner organization, and how do we tailor those training methodologies to support those partners and those users. Now, I think we all know it, that everybody wears different hats at different times. So this isn't just a one size fits all, it's buying your pre-sales and that's the only content that you get. But we wanted to make sure that it was relevant to the right people at the right time, especially during their onboarding phase. Is a lot of content that goes through, and I think it might be something that we're not always completely conscious of as well. But during that onboarding phase, you can be bombarded by so many different bits of content, new faces, new people that you're suddenly meeting. So it's about making sure that you're getting that right information, again, getting it delivered in the right way, being able to access that content at a time that's right for you. So if you are using something like a learning management system, making sure that you can do it if it's 9 9 a.m. in the morning and it's the first thing you want to do at night, or if it's a Sunday night and you've got some time for you to be able to do it, being able to get to that content and knowing that's the right information for me, but then also knowing as well that behind all of that onboarding, behind that engagement, you've also got a team of people that you can reach out to and that you also know where you can go to. It's really important for us to make sure that it doesn't matter if I've got one product or 100 products. If our partners are selling them, we've got the right content to support those personas so that they can effectively sell those products.
Nice. Yeah, have that support throughout as well. Thank you. And welcome back, Samantha. I know a little blip there, but if you got to not go first, so
that was incredible timing. Honestly, I couldn't have done that if I wanted to. That was mad.
Did you want to make a point about onboarding?
Yes. So I mean, for me, it's an ongoing journey. It's not just it's not a path. There's no way this stuff is linear. We've got partners, again, we talked about this earlier, where they're selling lots of different things. They're not going to remember everything all of the time. Can they get to what they need? And the speed in which they want to do that and how they want to do that will vary. Some people are happy, searching in a platform for something. And again, that depends how well you've set it up as to whether or not they can find what they need. Have they got access to people they can ask questions to? Do they have access to a community they can go to? There's lots of different ways that they can get the information, because it's not going to stick in their heads all of the time. We don't all remember, every last training session we've been to on all the things, especially if it was 6 months ago and maybe it was badly timed enablement. So we have to make sure their journey is immersive ultimately.
Yeah, so it's kind of leaning towards more interactive than the one-way kind of.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And Dave, onboarding and sales training. Can I pass to you, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Samantha really kind of, I think she put her finger on the issue, which is, the partner is working with, on average, 15 to 20 other vendors, and expecting them to become an expert in your particular product line or your particular field, I think is a stretch to reality. And so I think it really boils down to how easily can they act like experts in your product line and experts in your field by getting access to the enabling information that they need. A decade ago, I was a CMO at a cybersecurity company, and our partner portal was a Microsoft SharePoint drive. And partners would come and say, "Hey, I need the manual on the FB 2000." Oh, absolutely, it's in the portal, along with 20,000 other documents. Knock yourself out, and it can't be that. It can't be that. And so you've got to make the right content available to the right people at the right moment in time, and doing that is just greasing the skids to revenue, really. I also would say we hear from a lot of customers that the old Pareto principle as the channel adage, right? 20% of our customers, or 20% of our partners, do 80% of our revenue, and they seem to be comfortable with that. Every time I hear that, my reaction to that is, wouldn't you like to figure out what that 20% of your partner community is doing and copy it and paste it on the next 20%? I mean, learning what is working and what is successful through the metrics and the analytics that we talked about, learning what's working and saying to the rest of your partner community, "Hey, we've had a lot of success with this document. Why don't you give it a try? Here's the link to it." I think that's critical as well. I also think a lot of times offboarding gets overlooked. I know that having non-revenue producing partners in your channel program may not seem like a big deal, but each one is like a single barnacle on the hull of your sailboat, and one barnacle is not a problem, but when you get 1,000 barnacles, it really slows things down. Your expenses go up, and your training programs get more difficult to administer, and so I think being aggressive, fair but aggressive in your offboarding process as well is equally critical.
Yeah, thank you. It's a good example. And I think we've got a comment from Helen that she's just saying that essentially, you don't in school get everything dumped on you in kindergarten. It's spread out, right? It's a good point.
Yeah.
I think we'll move on to scale then from that, because you've sort of talked about offboarding, and that kind of links us nicely in. So automating your MarTech to co-market, drive demand, and sell together. I'm going to come to you, Samantha, if that's all right.
I'm trying not to break anything this time. Okay. Again, it's a combination of tools. We work with we have our portal. We have automation that fits into Salesforce. We then go from that into, we have reward systems that we use, but we still tailor that. It's not, again, one size fits all to the types of partners that we have, even down to when you talk about rewards. I know we were kind of on about this right at the beginning. Some partners, they can say, I don't know, the SC's completed a bunch of training, they've done the demo stuff, they've shown to us they can do it in real life. And they get XYZ. Some partners, that's cool, that can go straight to the partner, like the actual person themselves. Other people want that to go to the overall organization. There's different rules based on different countries. There's a whole lots of kind of a smorgasbord of things that we need to do to be able to fit with the different partner types that we have. I'm a big fan of automation, big fan of it. And it should be able to ultimately, I think, remove steps that humans don't need to do. Right? We can spend our time on our people stuff as humans, but then we've got the systems taking care of things like, it can be like getting a badge on LinkedIn to say that you've completed XYZ. People love that. They want to show it off. Techies especially, they love it. So that shouldn't require a human being to go, I'm going to draw a badge now. And then I'm going to email it to you, and then you can then take that from the email and you can put it on your LinkedIn. That should be a very simple process that they can go, cool, done that, boom, there it is. Let me show it off to the world. So speeding up those roles that don't need human beings. Computers are pretty good, it turns out, and we can use those to take the manual work out of the equation. I am all for that.
I like this idea of freeing up that automated to free up the kind of technical side of things time, so you can spend more time face to face with people, which I try to avoid going into this. But AI, I mean, we can't cover all of AI today. But do you think that's going to help do that?
There's a lot that AI, if we look at generative AI right now, there's a lot it can do, but it also doesn't care if it's accurate or not. So I think it is good for a percentage of some of the jobs that we do, but we still need humans to look at what the output is for the time being. But I'm kind of all for it. I've been in ChatGPT and played around with it. Do see what it can tell you about yourself. That's interesting. That'll give you an idea of how accurate it may or may not be. Spoiler, it's the latter. So, but if it can help us find information quicker, and as it builds, we'll definitely get to the point where accuracy becomes more of a thing. But I am currently not worried at all that AI is going to come for all of our jobs. I really don't think it's there for decision support. It's there to provide us the answers to things quicker, but it's got to get its accuracy sorted out. That is massively lacking right now.
Still early days.
Very much so.
Thanks. Okay. Steve, can I pass to you, please?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think automation really does help take out all of that admin kind of based approaches, some of those smaller interactions which aren't always necessary. Exactly, love that example of the sales badge, exactly to that point. And for us, it was also about reminding ourselves again, and I've mentioned this beforehand, but our partners are working with multiple different providers out in the world. So how do you always stay in somebody's ear? They've logged into my platform once, they've completed their training, great. Then we don't see them for another 9 months, or they may even forget they had a login. So how are we using automation to go, hey, we've not seen you in 3 months, here's what you're missing? Creating standardized templates with information. Here's how you can register a deal. Here's how you can access sales enablement. And it just runs in the background. Things like that can really see an increase in your partner engagement, a number of logins, click-throughs, if you're looking for elements like that, because then you can start seeing whether or not those partners are logging in exactly to the point as well. Some users leave from a partnership as well. So you can start, okay, right, how do I need to update and keep my own database relevant? How do I know that I'm communicating to the right people? So very much that point. Feel very much the same about things like ChatGPT. It's nice for you to kind of go in there, get some information, type in something and go, actually, that's a great starting point as well for some of that information that I want to take, but it's not personal enough. It's not what I needed to do just yet. It's a great way in order for you to kind of bounce an idea off of something and take some of those elements. And I think that's where I can very much see that kind of automation, the chat GPT world, all of those kind of elements, the AI overall kind of being useful in helping to support some of this automation so that you can remove yourself from like doing some of those smaller admin tasks, running a report, who's not logged in, right? I need to fire up an email, send them an email. I can automate that, and I can suddenly see an increase in conversion rates of people coming back into the platform versus going, hey, I'm not seeing anybody log into a platform from this partnership. Let's see what's going on. Let's have that conversation with them.
It's left me wondering. So you make contact, you see people log back in, and there's that side of it. But then, is there the danger of going the other way, where it sort of becomes a bit of spam, where it's hitting people, and you're not knowing that they're going, oh, it's hitting me.
Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? You've got to find that wonderful balance between the two, rather than just going every week, hey, I've not seen you, log in. It's okay, let's talk about this logically. We're seeing an average user log in maybe once every 3 months. Right, okay, then let's take that as a timestamp for us. They log in, we will send a reminder 3 months later, hey, here's everything that you're missing. 6 months, 9 months, making sure that that's there in there. And if we're still not getting that interaction, okay, there's something that we want to communicate, want to talk to. And also sometimes we have to appreciate that maybe there just isn't anything in the platform that the partner needs to come and use at that point. The persona that we're talking to may be like, that's great, I don't need to go and use that. I've got a team of people that are looking at that. I'm busy working on deals, or I'm having those conversations, and that's absolutely fine. It's just about making sure, like you said, you don't kind of have that spam approach and somebody flags us and we go through that, versus, hey, we're still a voice in your ear. There's still a platform that's here. There's still something that you can come and interact with.
Yeah, I love the idea of this kind of being sensitively aware of what their needs are, so that you're there when they need you. Yeah. That's perfect. Brilliant. Thank you. And Dave, can I pass on to you, please?
As Steve was talking about that, I was thinking low partner engagement in whatever platform you want them to come engage with you in is usually a sign of stale content, really. I mean, whatever your sports platform is, BBC Sports, whatever it is, if you wake up every morning, click on BBC Sports, and it's the same content morning after week after month, I'm not going to click and log in to that platform any longer. If you keep it relevant, if you give them information through the platform that they can't access otherwise, spiffs, incentives, new product launches, trainings available, if you keep the content fresh and relevant, you won't have an engagement problem. It really boils down to what you're providing your partner community. I also want to just speak to part of the question was about effectively co-marketing to drive demand. And the dream of every vendor is, I'm going to create some great marketing collateral, and my partner community is going to love it, and they're going to be running. I'm going to magnify my voice 100 times, 1,000 times over, because all of my partners are going to be going to market with my great marketing campaign. It turns out the reality is most of the partners that you engage with are SMB. They don't have large marketing departments, and they don't have experts in paid digital media, et cetera. And so our perspective on this has changed over the years from, I'm going to provide you marketing materials and you're going to go run your programs, to I'm going to provide campaigns, and if you opt in, I'm going to go ahead and run that campaign on your behalf. We used to call it through partner marketing. Now we kind of facetiously refer to it as, for partner marketing, or despite partner marketing, or in place of partner marketing. But really, I think, once again, it comes down to a platform that can automate that for your partners. I do have partners in the community that like to go grocery shopping and buy all of their groceries and cook their own meals, and they can put together marketing campaigns using my material. But by and large, most of my partners like to just have the, DoorDash, Deliveroo, I don't know what the UK version of DoorDash is. They like to have them show up with a prepared meal ready for me to consume. And that's the way I like my marketing campaigns as well. And so, we work hard to provide people the building blocks, but also, in fact, the two case studies, ironically, that we loaded up in here, talk to particularly Stanley Black & Decker. They wanted to engage in paid digital media strategies with their partner community, but their partner community, by and large, didn't understand how to spell Google Ads, let alone use it. And so we've got a platform that lets them engage in marketing campaigns on behalf of their partners, and yet still share that demand with, with the partner community. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, and those handouts are there ready to download if anyone wants to grab them, because we've run out of time now. We've got one little question at the end, though. We'd like to do a little question, which was pre-written before. And I think Dave's kind of answered it about 3 times already, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'll go around each of you, and it's just a one-word answer, essentially. It's what's preferable, more partners or fewer high-quality relationships? So more partners or fewer high-quality relationships? Samantha?
Option B.
B, yeah. Steve?
Definitely option B. Absolutely.
And Dave, I think you've already answered this.
Well, look, it's got to be option B, but don't you want to start with option B, figure out the model, and then go back to option A and start adding more and more and more effective? So yeah, I can't narrow it down to one.
Perfect answer. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming on today. It's been a really interesting discussion, and thanks to all our guests as well for joining in with questions and comments. We're done for today, but join us again on Tuesday, the 27th of June at 3 p.m. BST, when we'll be talking about leveraging AI to drive B2B marketing. Until then, have a great week. Goodbye for now.